Hello, everyone. Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and I'm back with story time. This time it's an Australian author, Banjo Paterson, and the story is The Dog. I have not read this story before, so I'll be going over it with you for the first time as well. Before we get into the story, though, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much to those of you who have subscribed. Also, if you're looking to take one of my Udemy courses, don't forget to send me an email so that I can send you a coupon. Just let me know which course you like. I can send you a coupon for a huge savings on the cost. Generally, $9.99 to $13.99 US, I believe, is the sale I can give you. Sometimes Udemy has a sale already, and that's fine. But if not, you can send me a little message, and I have no problem sending you a coupon for any one of my courses or any number of my courses if you like. That's fine too. Also, if you want to know more about my private tutoring service, just shoot me an email as well. I can send you information online, or we can have a free information meeting online. Or if you're local, you can come and we'll do it here at the big table as well. So that's fine too. All right, I have not read this story, so I may stumble over some words or the phrasing or whatever. But whenever you're going through a story first, especially when you're on camera, we shall see. I don't edit, so there you go. I'm just looking for my share here so I can share the story with you. Here we are. So we have The Dog by Banjo Paterson. Andrew Barton Paterson is his actual name. 1864 to 1941, Australian poet, journalist, and author. Here we go. The dog is a member of society who likes to have his day's work and who does it more conscientiously than most human beings. A dog always looks as if he ought to have a pipe in his mouth and a black bag for his lunch, and then he would go quite happily to office every day. Sounds like a good sense of humor here. A dog without work is like a man without work, a nuisance to himself and everybody else. Okay, a little bit of truth in there too, maybe. People who live about town and keep a dog to give the children tids, not sure that, and to keep the neighbors awake at night, imagine that the animal is fulfilling his destiny. All town dogs, fancy dogs, show dogs, lap dogs, and other dogs with no work to do should be abolished. It is only in the country that a dog has any justification for his existence. Strong feelings. The old theory that animals have only instinct, not reason, to guide them is knocked endways by the dog. A dog can reason as well as a human being on some subjects and better on others, and the best reasoning dog of all is the sheepdog. The sheepdog is a professional artist with a pride in his business. Watch any drover's dogs bringing sheep into the yards, how thoroughly they feel their responsibility and how very annoyed they get if a stray dog with no occupation wants them to stop and fool about. They snap at him and hurry off as much as to say, "You go about your idleness. Don't you see this is my busy day?" Sheepdogs are followers of Thomas Carlyle. They hold that the only happiness for a dog in this life is to find his work and to do it. The idle, dilettante, non-working, aristocratic dog they have no use for. The training of a sheepdog for his profession begins at a very early age. The first thing is to take him out with his mother and let him see her working. He blunders lightheartedly, frisking along in front of the horse, and his owner tries to ride over him and generally succeeds. It is amusing to see how that knocks all the gas out of a puppy, and with what a humble air he falls to the rear and glues himself to the horse's heels, scarcely daring to look to the right or to the left for fear of committing some other breach of etiquette. That's a hard learning experience for the dog. He has had his first lesson to keep behind the horse until he is wanted. Then he watches the old slut work and is allowed to go with her round the sheep, and if he shows any disposition to get out of hand and frolic about, the old lady will bite him sharply to prevent his interfering with her work. By degrees, slowly, like any other professional, he learns his business. He learns to bring sheep after a horse simply at a wave of the hand, to force the mob up to a gate where they can be counted or drafted, to follow the scent of lost sheep, and to drive sheep through a town without any master. One dog going on ahead to block the sheep from turning off into by streets, while the other drives them on from the rear. How do they learn all these things? Dogs for show work are taught painstakingly by men who are skilled in handling them. But After all, they teach themselves more than the men teach them. It looks as if the acquired knowledge of generations were transmitted from dog to dog. The puppy, descended from a race of sheepdogs, starts with all his faculties directed towards the working of sheep. He is half educated as soon as he is born. He can no more help working sheep than a born musician can help being musical, or a hero can help gathering in shekels. It is bred in him. If he can't get sheep to work, he will work a fowl. Often and often one can see a collie pup painstakingly and carefully driving a bewildered old hen into a stable or a stockyard or any other enclosed space on which he has fixed his mind. How does he learn to do that? He didn't learn it at all. The knowledge was born with him. When the dog has been educated or has educated himself, he enjoys his work. But very few dogs like work in the yards. The sun is hot, the dust rises in clouds, and there is nothing to do but bark, 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 which is all very well for learners and amateurs, but is beneath the dignity of the true professional sheepdog. When they are hoarse with barking and nearly choked with dust, the men lose their tempers and swear at them and throw clods of earth at them and sing out to them, "Speak up, blast you." Then dogs suddenly decide that they have done enough for the day. Watching their opportunity, they silently steal over the fence and hide in any cool place they can find. After a while, the men notice that hardly any are left, and operations are suspended while a great hunt is made into outlying pieces of cover where the dogs are sure to be found lying low and looking as guilty as so many thieves. A clutch at the scruff of the neck, a kick in the ribs, and they are hauled out of hiding places and accompany their masters to the yard, frolicking about and pretending that they are quite delighted to be going back and only hid in those bushes out of sheer thoughtlessness. He is a champion hypocrite, is the dog. Dogs, like horses, have very keen intuition. They know when the men around them are frightened, though they may not know the cause. In a great Queensland strike, when the shearers attacked and burnt Dagworth shed, some rifle volleys were exchanged. The air was full of human electricity, each man giving out waves of fear and excitement. Mark now the effect it had on the dogs. They were not in the fighting. Nobody fired at them, and nobody spoke to them. But every dog left his master, left the sheep, and went away to the homestead about 6 miles off. There wasn't a dog about the shed next day after the fight. The noise of the rifles had not frightened them because they were well accustomed to that. The same thing happened constantly with horses in the South African War. A loose horse would feed contentedly while our men were firing. But when our troops were being fired at, the horses became uneasy, and the loose ones would trot away. The excitement of the men communicated itself to them. Dogs have an amazing sense of responsibility. Sometimes, when there are sheep to be worked, an old slut who has young puppies may be greatly exercised in her mind whether she should go out or not. On the one hand, she does not care about leaving the puppies. On the other, she feels that she really ought to go rather than allow the sheep to be knocked about by those learners. Hesitatingly, with many a look behind her, she trots out after the horses and the other dogs. An impassioned appeal from the head boundary rider, "Go back home, will yer?" is treated with the contempt it deserves. She goes out to the yards, works perhaps half the day, and then slips quietly under the fences and trots off home contented. And that is actually the end of the story. I was a little bit surprised there. I paused for a second because I was trying to figure out this line. It says, on the one hand, she does not care about leaving the puppies. On the other, she feels that she really ought to go. Sounds like the same thing to me, but maybe I'm misreading that. Maybe it's so that was a fun story. It's a little bit humorous, but a little bit serious. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not familiar with the author, so I don't know where he was heading with this one. But I think a lot of people have very close experiences with their dogs, with other pets as well. But a lot of people have a close relationship with their dog, talk to their dog. Many people believe their dog talks back to them, and And we tend to give human qualities to a lot of the pets that we have, and sometimes other things as well. We give human qualities even to wild animals that they may or may not actually have, and probably in most cases don't actually have. But of course, dogs are amazing at doing their jobs when they're trained properly. We had a sheepdog when I was young, when I was a kid, a teenager, basically, I guess. We had a sheepdog named Molly, actually. She wasn't really a working dog, though. We didn't have sheep, I think, for a very, very short period of time. We had a few, but the farm we had was mostly a dairy farm. We had a few other animals too. But and we did have dogs that helped to bring the cows back up to the barn in the summertime when they were out. And but Molly, the sheepdog, was not one of them. The dogs we had were actually mixed breeds, I think, but there was some collie in them. Collie, people say it different ways, but and we didn't rely on them completely, but they were helpful from time to time. They were also very good at catching groundhogs, which dig holes, which cows can break their legs in. So that's not a good idea. Um, but I think, and here in this particular story, dogs that people keep just as pets and not working dogs, he seems to feel are pretty useless and not really living up to their full potential or whatever. I don't know if I agree with that. A lot of people depend on their dogs for various reasons. Of course, there are trained dogs for seeing eye dogs and um, comfort for people to help with some, I know, autistic and other uh, people with issues of various kinds, that dogs can be trained to be very, very helpful. So you can let me know, do you have a pet dog? I don't have a dog now. We had dogs when I was younger, as I say, but I don't have a dog now, but they're amazing. They're a lot of fun. I still enjoy dogs. I get to see other people's dogs when I'm out walking, and most of them are very friendly. Unfortunately, once in a while, there's one that's not so friendly. Um, but I never walk up to a dog. And try to pet it if I don't know the dog, especially if the owner's not around. But sometimes they're off leash. They're not supposed to be actually, but they are sometimes, and they come running up and jump on you and are very friendly, fortunately. But it does give you a bit of a start when they're on their way, and you're thinking, I hope he's friendly. I hope he's not going to eat me. But dogs are amazing. You can let me know your feelings of dogs or of this particular story. Do you think all dogs should be working dogs? Is the sheepdog the best for that purpose? I don't know. I think it probably is in some instances. In other instances, uh, dogs can be trained to do all sorts of things. Even find what do they call truffles? Yes, I know they're trained for that too. They use pigs too, but. I should actually stop the share and go back to the big screen. I suppose I should have done that a while ago. I was just staring at the story there. All right, there we go. Banjo Paterson, the dog. Do you know any other stories by Banjo Paterson? Of course, if you have a story that you might like me to go through, you can let me know. I do have to be careful about copyrights. However, older stories are the best because they usually pass their copyright stage. Um, but yeah, I have to be a little bit careful. But you can let me know and I'll see what I can do. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't also check in the description for some links and send me an email if you want a coupon to one of my Udemy courses or want to find out more about my private tutoring service. Other than that, I'm looking for the stop recording button here. Just keep learning, keep having fun. It is Ron from L.T.L Tutoring Central. Bye bye for now.